Good morning and welcome to my garden. It's the very last day of August and I realise I forgot to do my garden walkthrough. Apologies for that. So let's go for a walk now. So this is my wedge garden on the east and I've got some lovely society garlic flowering all around the perimeter of this bed. My tomatoes on this trellis have done quite well. You can see I've been using exclusion bags. This is to help keep the bugs away from the tomatoes. And I have noticed that the tomatoes that are in bags have been safe, whereas the ones that are outside have often ended up with stings or holes because they've been nibbled on by insects and birds. Hubby tells me that this is a perfect size tomato. He can use one tomato on his sandwich and there's none left. So that's what we like to hear when the people we're growing for appreciate our produce. This garden is covered with self-sown volunteer lettuces and it's so lovely because it means that we can eat as many as we like. I did sprinkle some carrot seeds through this garden. I haven't done a lot with this garden since we took out the rosella plants along here. How's that for a spring onion? I don't dig my spring onions out. I chop them and use what's above the ground. And as a result, these have been here probably for a whole 12 months and I keep using them. I'm going to let this one go to seed because it's been such a good spring onion. I'm going to try and grow some more elsewhere. Contour 1. I've started a cleanup with the intention of establishing a watering system here. Part of the cleanup will be that I'll no longer have arrowroot and lemongrass along the end of the bed along the full width. I found that a little bit messy and I didn't like how it was. So I'm going to move it so it's only along the chop and drop side. And I think that'll make the whole bed look tidier. It certainly has made the other beds that have done it to feel tidier. These little chilies, this plant grows so large and I'm just not keeping up with all the chilies that it produces. So I'm actually going to remove this plant. One will be quite enough. And I'll keep some seeds inside so that if I lose that one, I can plant another plant. My yacon is growing back. It died off because it was smothered, I suspect, by arrowroot and lemongrass. But now it's coming back again and I'll be able to get some nice tubers off that. Got another pineapple growing here. That's quite exciting. Really enjoy pineapple. I had some basil here and I've pruned off the more dead looking branches and it looks like we've still got some growing here. More yacon. Yacon produces a very sweet tuber. It's called the Peruvian apple. They are delicious to eat raw or cooked. I'm still learning how to use them. Capsicums died back, so I pruned them back. And this chili also died back and then started to reshoot. So I pruned off all the dead branches and now it's looking quite happy. The archway is a bit naked at the moment. I have planted some more seeds along here. Currently we've got some sweet pea growing here. And when that grows up and with all its colour, that should look just stunning. The last of the zinnias. They were gorgeous too, and I've sprinkled the seeds along the row here, hoping that they'll come back. When I get my watering system here, I'll make sure that it extends all the way to the edge of the bed so I can have flowers down here. My chop and drop row is looking good. Definitely ready for another chop. Yes, you can hear the rattle. These pigeon pea seeds are getting to the point where they're probably going to sprout in my chop and drop row. I love that it grows so lush, and it's good that it grows lush because at the moment my native plants are just not doing that. I'm going to have to find some more natives to put between them to increase the chop and drop. I've left one of my arrowroot plants there so that I can continue to use that for chop and drop. And I think I'll continue to spread these garlic chives along the entire end of the bed here. Contour 2 on the east. I recently did this up with mushroom compost and horse manure and straw, and I've planted strawberries and rhubarb, and I have put a watering system on. The grapevines that were growing at the back here, I still don't know if that one's dead. It did have a shoot on it a while ago, and that may be... No, not yet. But hopefully having the watering system here will give it regular water and it'll be happier now. And I've started to put some garlic chives along here, so one day that'll be a lovely border there too. So I've got different varieties of strawberries along here. I'd like to see how they grow. I'd like to see if there are any that prove to be better in our environment. Oh, that's a gorgeous flower. Very pretty. I used some soil we had from our stockpile, and you can see all the little weeds coming up. So that's a bit of a problem. I just need to get my hand rake out and rake them down, and hopefully they won't continue to grow. You see one of my rhubarb plants here. I planted it as a crown and it has appeared up from the ground, so that's exciting too. My dwarf bananas along the back here will be primarily there as chop and drop, but I'm hoping I'll be able to get some fruit from them as well. Being dwarf, I'm hoping they won't end up causing a problem for the grapevine trellis. These rhubarb plants here, I planted as seedlings, so they are in a different stage of growth from the other rhubarbs. Now you can see some of my asparagus is growing through. Judging by the colour on the top, I'd say this is a purple one. So I planted purple and green asparagus along here, and it looks to me like the purple one is coming back first here. So these two have come up through all the manure and compost that we put here. It's always nervous when you completely cover the bed in 20, 30 centimetres worth of mulch and compost. Am I going to kill off my asparagus? But it always comes back. Interesting that these purple ones have come back long before the green ones have come back. More strawberries. Very excited that my roses have got new shoots on them. This one here I grew from a cutting, and this one I grew from a cutting, so it's nice to see them growing on. And this one was given to me as a gift, so that'll be beautiful. And here's the other surviving grapevine, and I'm hoping it's surviving. I'm sure as spring arrives properly, we'll find out how well it is. I have had a number of cherry tomato plants pop up in my windbreak row, and they've been using the sugarcane as a trellis. So I've just recently planted some more tomatoes along here. The other thing I've done is planted some rock melon and watermelon along this row. I don't have a watering system on my windbreak row at the moment, and it's been doing okay without it. Maybe if I actually want something from my watermelon and rock melon, I'm going to have to put watering system on. I intend to get some trellis to build an archway here so the melons can grow up and over along this area. It'd be lovely to think we can have an archway here, or a series of archways with melons growing up and over. That'd be really lovely. Sadly, there's been no progress on my pond. One day it'll happen. Contour 1 in the middle. You can see I've been harvesting shallots, and I've been picking off all the flowering tops. I discovered last year that if you leave the flowering tops on, that stalk itself becomes very woody, and then eventually the plant dies back to only the woody stems and it's not useful anymore. By pulling the flower heads off, you keep the plant young for longer. I'm trying to train these tomatoes to grow through this trellis. I've pruned off a lot of the branches from the bottom so that only 4 fruiting branches will grow straight up and over. Some more garlic chives and some more sweet peas. We've got some lovely tomato trusses growing on this tomato plant. It's not bad, is it? And you can see again, I've got some of the tomato trusses in bags to exclude insects. Have a look at this All these tomatoes here are on one stalk. I actually picked tomatoes from this bag this week, and there's still all this many here. I'm keeping a tally of how much weight that one flower stalk produced. So far we're up to 500 grams. The plant looks like it's coming to an end. So when it's finished, I might just turn this bed into the lily garden that I want beside my pond. I'd love some pretty here. I'll probably still grow brassicas amongst the lilies. Looks like a bit of a jungle, doesn't it? This is a self-sown brassica. I don't know what type it is, but the flowers are edible. The leaves have got a nice little sharp bite to them. It's very yummy in a salad. A cabbage that's finished, been harvested, and is growing back new tops. And so I use those leaves in my salads. A lot of carrots here while we were away. Most of them went to flower, and so they're not edible anymore as carrots, but they will become the seed stock for my next carrot bed. And my gerbera is surviving under there. Oh, it's got lovely flowers on it. I should probably weed around that so I can actually see it. Contour 1 on the north. It's well and truly been taken over by this chickweed. I'm not too worried because chickweed's easy to pull out and it's seasonal. It'll die off when the summer comes. It just can't survive in the summer. I'm more concerned about all this carrot weed. You can see how much it looks like carrot. And carrot weed is really hard to get rid of, and it is spreading, so I need to get rid of that. Malabar spinach or Ceylon spinach. You eat the young leaves. They can go in salad. They have a slightly mucilaginous texture to them, so it's not for everyone's liking. One lone cabbage surviving here, but it's looking really good. It's doing very well. Once again, my carrots all went to seed while we were away, so there's not many I can eat here. And it looks like some of my potatoes from last year's crop have grown back. Perhaps I'll get another harvest off those. Oh, looks like we're a bit thirsty. I'm going to have to water this. It's a bit hard to know how much to water. I've found an issue here where I have got carrots, which are root vegetables, which shouldn't receive a lot of water, beside brassicas, which do need a lot of water. So this is something that I need to watch with my companion planting. Yes, plant a lot of different plants together, but pay attention to the kind of care that they need, because I've got a situation down further on contour 3 where I've got root vegetables wanting to not receive any water and brassicas needing to receive water, and something's going to die if I give the wrong treatment. My papayas are looking really sad. Some of them are growing back. Some of them don't look like they want to. For example, I think I'd consider chopping this one down. I can't reach any of the fruit except on this little one here. But the main problem is that all the leaves were frosted off back in June, and now the plants are struggling to thrive. So if I chop that one back, perhaps it'll grow back. Contour 2. I am really enjoying this wild feel here. Once again, we've got carrot weed coming up all through here. But these wild brassicas, I think this is a wild rocket. This is a Thai basil. And I'm really enjoying the flowers, and the bees are too. You can see here we've got 2 different types of brassica here with the yellow flowers and the white flowers. They're very pretty. They're very happy. And the salvia is lovely too. Insects really enjoy salvia. So this wildness, I'm liking it. I've planted some arrowroot along this line, so that will help with the chop and drop. This plant's coming on soon. This will be good for chop and drop. The vegetable side of contour 2 on the north. I've planted brown onions here, celery, carrot. Oh, I could plant some of those seeds. That's lovely. I enjoyed the purple carrot. And these would be red onions with more celery and capsicum. Look at my avocados. They're doing really well. They're really happy. It doesn't seem to have damaged them to prune them to have a very flat profile. So they're down the centre of the bed and not growing out over the vegetables. Maybe I can let them grow over the vegetables a little bit during summer, but that's not the habit I want to encourage with these. And one day they'll be big enough that the papayas won't have a space here, and that'll create a very different look from my garden. Now these garlic are looking like they're dying off. They have a good sized bulb on them, but I'm not quite sure when I'm supposed to harvest them. And this is one of the problems I'm having with my watering of this bed. I've got capsicums and celery here that need their water, but I've also got potatoes and garlic and onions that may not need so much water right now. I really have to watch how much water I put on this bed. Perhaps this bed is too long to be one bed with one watering system. I think it'll be difficult for me to put in a joiner here. It'll require another main line to be run along the edge of the bed. I don't know that I'll do that. Maybe I should make a habit of planting my root crops between a brassica patch that's almost finished, so that I don't end up with the situation where I have root crops that are ready to be harvested and shouldn't receive a lot of water, right beside brassicas that are freshly growing and are receiving water. That would make it tricky to know what to plant in a bed like this with the potatoes and the garlic. So once they're winding down, I just can't plant anything in the spaces. Or maybe that's a good time to plant a green manure cover crop, because that'll do fine whether I water it or not. So more avocados doing well. The citrus is finally putting on new growth. I just don't know when it's going to grow any height. I pruned this chop and drop row back in June before we went away, and it's taking a long time to come back. It's August, it's 2.5 months since it was pruned. The pigeon pea is coming back now. This Okinawa spinach has been really good for salads. It has a nice crunch to the leaf and it's great eaten raw. My aloe is flowering. Such a pretty flower. I also put some cranberry hibiscus into my salads. That adds a lovely bit of colour and texture. The chopper drop on this end hasn't really done much. I've added some arrowroot roots here, so this will have arrowroot. Some Okinawa spinach is doing well. I have some daikon radish growing here. Some of that's self-seeded. Some of that is from seed that I spread after last year's daikon radish harvest. And they've got a lovely flower too. And the bees really enjoy that flower. A lot of weeds on the vegetable side of contour 3 on the north. I still really can't get through here, but one day I'll clear this out. I think I'm going to plant some corn along here. I have the seeds. We're still a little bit cool overnight for corn, but the daytime temperatures are up in the mid to high 20s. Sweet potatoes looking lovely and fresh. None of the insect attack that we noted in previous months. This sweet potato is taking a long time to grow back because I kept harvesting from it, but there's nothing to harvest at the moment, so if I leave it alone, it'll grow back nicely. Talking of growing back, it looks like my coffee plant's got a lot of lovely new shoots on it. I've been harvesting fennel. Oh, it's a joy to harvest fennel. First time I've grown fennel, so I'm learning about it and I'm beginning to see why people say it can become a pest. So I should be very careful to not let it seed. It smells so good and it's a lovely addition to a salad. I've been picking little broccoli florets from this plant for a while now, and they're really yummy and fresh, and wow, you can tell the difference between a store-bought broccoli and a homegrown broccoli. I had some store-bought broccoli in the fridge and I used the little bit of homegrown broccoli I had in the same meal, and it was clear. The homegrown broccoli has got a deeper flavour and it's almost creamy in comparison, and it's also a lot sweeter. Here's another example of what do I do about watering things. I have parsnip here. And parsnip doesn't like a lot of water, but it's been watered right here alongside my fennel and my broccoli and my broad beans, which do need water because they're still actively growing. So I don't know if I'm going to end up having my parsnip rot. I was slack and I didn't put stakes around my broad beans, and so you can see some of these long branches are falling over. I'm really going to have to get onto that, or I'll end up with it all on the ground and it'll snap and the broad beans won't form. At this stage we don't have any beans forming. We've still just got the flowers here. Oh, here we go. Here's the first pod. And there's another one. And we've been eating from here 2 different types of kale. Carrots are growing from the seed that I shook over the garden bed. Some of the brassicas are going to seed. I wonder if that's because they didn't get enough water in the early days. But it's all very lovely. It's very pretty and it's very yummy. I made another addition to the garden yesterday. These are my blueberries. I'm growing them in pots because blueberries like acidic soil. Blueberries like acidity down to 4.5 and 5.5, and that's when they grow best. They are conditions that most other plants will not like. My addition to the garden yesterday was this miracle fruit. I learned that it also likes an acidity of down to 4.5. So it'll be right at home here amongst these blueberries. In the end, I hope to have a retainer wall here for the edge of the bank, plus another retainer wall to make this a garden bed that I can keep very acidic. It's really hard to keep the soil acidic when it's in the garden with other things that don't like acidic soil. They don't get a lot of water being off here by themselves, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to put some way to water them here. I'm pretty sure they'd be producing a lot more fruit and a lot more flowers if they were regularly watered. Over the years, I've made several fatal mistakes with my blueberries, and I remember killing off 7 different plants in 7 different ways. So one of the ways I killed them off was by putting a lot of compost in the potting mix when I planted them. Blueberries like a very high acidity because they're very efficient of getting nutrients out of the soil. And so when I put a lot of compost or a lot of worm castings in it, it was too rich for my blueberries and they died off. I'm hoping I haven't made that same mistake with this miracle fruit. I gave it the best part of a layer of my worm farm, but I also put in a lot of sulfur in and around that. So hopefully the sulfur will amend the acidity so that it's more to the miracle fruit's liking. Thanks for visiting my garden with me. Happy gardening to you. And suddenly I realise it's the very last day of August and I haven't done an August garden walk. I apologise for that. I've been struggling with yucky brain and I haven't felt like getting out and being happy. So let's have a look around the garden now and see if we can find something that can make us feel happy.